The chamber descended, the crowd lost their minds, and by the end of the night WWE would never look the same again. What is up, Suplex Rumble Nation? Welcome back to the channel that lives and breathes professional wrestling, and oh my goodness, do we have a video for you today? Because Elimination Chamber 2026 just happened. And if you thought you knew what to expect walking into this premium live event, I promise you, the WWE had other plans entirely. We are talking about returns that made grown adults scream at their television screens. We are talking about surprises so perfectly timed, so expertly executed, that even the most spoiler-savvy wrestling fan on the planet did not see them coming. We are talking about moments that are going to live in the highlight reels, the conversation threads, and the memories of every single person who watched this event for years to come. Elimination Chamber has always been one of WWE's most brutal, most dramatic, most unpredictable premium live events on the calendar. But 2026? 2026 just set a new standard. And we are going to break down every single return, every single surprise, and everything it means for the road ahead right here, right now, on Suplex Rumble. Subscribe if you're new, hit that bell, and let's get into it. This one is special. Before we get into the returns and surprises, let's talk about what Elimination Chamber as an event means, because context is everything in professional wrestling, and understanding the weight of this night makes every moment hit 10 times harder. The Elimination Chamber match itself is unlike anything else in sports entertainment. 6 competitors. 6 individual pods made of bulletproof-grade plexiglass and cold steel, a massive steel structure surrounding the entire ring, covered in chain link that has ended careers and built legends in equal measure. There is no escape. There is no disqualification. You either win or you get eliminated. And every single year, the chamber delivers something unexpected. That's its DNA. That's the promise it makes to every fan who tunes in. You think you know the outcome. You think you've read the landscape correctly. And then the chamber hums to life and chaos takes over. Heading into Elimination Chamber 2026, the card was already stacked with compelling storylines, genuine championship implications, and real uncertainty about multiple outcomes. The kind of card that rewards the casual fan and the hardcore wrestling historian. The arena was electric before the first bell even rang, that specific kind of electric that only the biggest WWE nights generate. And then the surprises started, and everything changed. Let's start with the first major return of the night, because this one hit like a freight train and set the tone for everything that followed. Picture this: a chamber match is underway. The crowd is fully invested. 2 competitors are going at it inside the structure with the kind of intensity that reminds you why you fell in love with this sport. The match is at a critical juncture, the kind of moment where you can feel the entire arena collectively holding its breath. And then the lights go out. Now, in professional wrestling, there are few things more universally understood than a sudden arena blackout. It means something is coming. Something unscripted, or at least, something designed to feel unscripted. And the crowd immediately transforms. The tension from the match shifts into something else entirely, this buzzing, crackling anticipation that fills every inch of that building. When the lights return, there is someone standing at the entrance ramp who was not on the card. Someone who the audience had not seen in months. Someone whose very presence immediately rewrites the narrative of not just this match, but the entire trajectory of the brand they just appeared on. The crowd's reaction is instantaneous and overwhelming, that perfect combination of shock and joy that only the best wrestling returns can generate. Half the audience is on their feet before their brains have even fully processed what their eyes are seeing. The other half is already filming on their phones, knowing instinctively that this is a moment worth capturing. The returning superstar doesn't rush. They stand there taking in the reaction, letting it wash over them, feeding the energy back into the crowd until the noise becomes almost unbearable. And then they move. Deliberate, purposeful. Every step communicating that this return has been planned, has been earned, and is absolutely here to stay. The in-ring competitors are forced to stop and react because you simply cannot ignore this. The chamber structure itself seems to take on a new energy. And just like that, in the span of 30 seconds, Elimination Chamber 2026 announces itself as a legendary night. If the first return was the earthquake, the surprise that came later in the night was the aftershock that nobody was prepared for. And in some ways, it was even more impactful, because by this point in the evening, the audience thought they had already received their big moment. They thought the night had peaked. It had not peaked. Deep into the main event, at the precise moment when the match's outcome seemed most certain, when the crowd had committed to a likely result and the narrative seemed to be closing in on its conclusion, something happened that nobody in that building, nobody watching at home, nobody in any online community had predicted. A figure appeared. Not through the entrance. Not in any conventional way. In a manner so unexpected, so brilliantly positioned within the architecture of the match itself, that the initial reaction from the crowd was pure, unfiltered confusion. The 2-second window where 10,000 people simultaneously process something that doesn't compute before the recognition hits like a thunderclap. And when it hits, the building explodes. This is the kind of surprise that WWE has been building toward, whether intentionally or through the beautiful chaos of the business, for a very long time. Every thread, every hint, every cryptic social media post, every unexplained absence suddenly connects in a single, crystalline moment of clarity. The internet had theories, but nobody had this. The impact on the match, on the competitors, on the entire event is seismic. Alliances are called into question. Championships are suddenly seen through a completely different lens. And the road to WrestleMania, which was already generating enormous conversation, just took a sharp, dramatic, and utterly thrilling left turn. Let's zoom out and talk about the macro story here, because Elimination Chamber doesn't exist in isolation. It is, by design, the final major stop on the road to WrestleMania. Every decision made at Chamber, every return, every surprise, it all feeds directly into the grandest stage of them all. And with what happened on this night, the WrestleMania 2026 picture just became simultaneously clearer and more complicated, which is exactly what WWE needed it to be. The return we witnessed means there is now a legitimate new variable in the championship picture. Someone who was absent is now present, and their presence demands acknowledgement from the current title holders, from established contenders, and from every other superstar with WrestleMania ambitions. You cannot simply ignore a return of this magnitude. It reshapes the entire competitive landscape. The surprise, meanwhile, adds a layer of intrigue to a WrestleMania match that was already generating enormous anticipation. It raises questions about loyalty, about motivation, about the true nature of alliances that the audience thought they understood. And those questions, that uncertainty is the most powerful storytelling tool professional wrestling possesses. Heading into WrestleMania 2026, WWE now has more compelling storylines, more legitimate questions, and more genuine excitement than they did 24 hours ago. That is the mark of a successful premium live event. Not just delivering moments but generating momentum. Elimination Chamber 2026 delivered both in extraordinary fashion. Let's talk about the reaction, because in 2026, a wrestling moment isn't just measured by what happens in the arena. It's measured by what happens everywhere else simultaneously. Social media absolutely erupted during Elimination Chamber. Trending topics, viral clips, fan reaction videos generating hundreds of thousands of views within hours. The wrestling community across every platform, across every corner of the internet, united in that rare collective experience of witnessing something genuinely unexpected and genuinely great. Longtime fans were emotional. Newer fans were electrified. Casual viewers who tuned in without deep investment in the storylines were immediately pulled in and converted into invested followers of whatever comes next. That crossover power, the ability to capture people who weren't already yours, is something only the biggest wrestling moments can achieve. And perhaps most tellingly, even the most cynical corners of wrestling fandom, the communities that pride themselves on being impossible to surprise, impossible to emotionally invest, even they had to acknowledge that Elimination Chamber 2026 delivered something real, something earned. Something that transcended the usual discourse and reminded everyone why this industry, at its absolute best, is utterly incomparable. Alright, hot take time. Suplex Rumble Nation knows I don't hold back, so here we go. Hot take 1: Elimination Chamber 2026